Hello and welcome to Always Bored, Never Boring. Today I am blowing the dust off of one of my favourite games. In fact, a game that made it into my top 20 list of best games of all time. Lord of the Rings The Confrontation. This is a classic two-player strategy game from the awesomely talented designer Reiner Knizia, and I would say this is one of his best, if not his best. The original edition dates back to 2002, but it was given a glow-up in 2005 when Fantasy Flight Games released a deluxe edition which included a set of alternative characters created by Christian T. Peterson and Eric M. Lang. Those new characters added huge variability and replayability to an already exceptionally well-crafted game, making it a best-selling title. However, what I have here is Fantasy Flight Games 2013 edition. This is basically the same as the deluxe edition, but everything was scaled down a bit. As far as I'm concerned, that was something of an improvement. This is a decent travel game for two players, and the smaller character pieces are less likely to fall over. Considering a single accidentally revealed piece can completely ruin a game, I value that stability over having larger pieces. So this is the copy I am going to review today. But why? This edition has been out of print for years at this point. Well, in 2022, Ghost Galaxy acquired the rights to The Confrontation, and at the 2025 UK Games Expo, they were running demos for a brand new edition, starring Javier Bardem as Aragorn, apparently. This new edition is going to Gamefound, and if I've got all my ducks in a row, the video you are watching right now should have gone live just before the campaign launch date on Thursday the 26th of June 2025. I'm going to put a link to the campaign in the video description below so you can head over there and check it out. But I warn you, this is an excellent game, but it's also simple and elegant with a quick playing time and a small footprint. It's basically a filler that plays in about 30 minutes, and it is exclusively a two-player head-to-head duel. It's the sort of game I imagine sitting on a store shelf next to Ravensburger's Horrified and priced comparably. And yet, that's not how the Gamefound campaign has been structured. While there is a standard edition for $50 plus tax, there is also a deluxe edition at $120 plus tax, and then a collector's edition which is a whopping $2,200 plus tax. As you can imagine, if a company is prepared to create an edition that costs thousands of dollars, they must have a lot of faith in the game. Well, in fairness, they have a right to. Let's take a closer look. In The Confrontation, one player takes on the role of the Fellowship, while the other player takes control of the forces of Sauron. Each player will have 9 characters, which are very similar to Stratego pieces. From your opponent's perspective, all 9 will look identical, but from your perspective, each piece is unique. These pieces actually comprise a plastic holder and a removable token. As the tokens are double-sided, you get 2 different sets of characters, giving you 3 different ways to play. You can play with the classic game, which is Frodo, Sam, Merry, Pippin, Aragorn, Boromir, Legolas, Gimli and Gandalf versus Orcs, Shelob, Saruman, a Flying Nazgul, the Balrog, a Warg, a Cave Troll, a Black Rider and the Witch King. Alternatively, you can play the variant game, which is Frodo, Sméagol, Gandalf, Sam, Elrond, Aragorn, Theoden, Faramir and Treebeard versus Orcs, Grima Wormtongue, Saruman, a Flying Nazgul, Uruk-hai, Gollum, the Mouth of Sauron, the Witch King and the Watcher in the Water. And do note, some variant characters have the same name as classic characters, but in all cases they have different special abilities, so you do get a brand new play experience with these variants. Finally, players can choose to mix and match classic and variant characters to create their dream team. This gives you loads of unique combinations to explore. However, as the playing pieces are double-sided, not every combination is possible. For example, Treebeard is on the back of the Boromir token, so you can't field them both at the same time. You can though field Boromir and Faramir at the same time, which makes my heart happy. Having chosen your characters, you need to arrange them on the board, which is a rather lovely abstract view of the 16 key regions of Middle-earth. The board is positioned so the corner with the Shire faces the Fellowship player, and the corner depicting Mordor faces the Sauron player, with the Misty Mountains running through the centre. Each space on the board has a name plaque indicating how many characters from each player can be there. The Gap of Rohan, for example, can hold just one character from each side of the conflict, while Mirkwood can hold 2 characters from each side. And setup is simple. The Fellowship player picks 4 characters to place in the Shire, and then places 1 character in the 5 regions immediately in front of the Shire. The Sauron player mirrors that setup, with 4 characters in Mordor and 1 in each of the 5 regions in front of Mordor. The only empty spaces at the start of the game are the 4 representing the mountain range. Each player also takes their deck of combat cards. The Fellowship deck comprises 5 strength cards numbered 1 to 5 and 4 special cards with unique abilities. The Sauron deck comprises 6 strength cards numbered 1 to 6 and 3 special cards. In other words, Sauron has the upper hand in a straight-up fight, while the Fellowship have more wits and wiles to help them avoid the enemy. Sauron gets the first turn, which only makes sense as it is Sauron's evil schemes that kick the plot into action, and then play alternates. And on each turn, a player must move one of their pieces. If they can't move a piece for any reason, they instantly lose. Usually, a character can only move forwards, and only into a region where there is a space for them. For example, a Fellowship character in the Misty Mountains can only move into Mirkwood or Fangorn, and only if the region they are moving into doesn't already contain 2 Fellowship characters. However, there are a whole bunch of exceptions to break that basic rule. For example, Aragorn's special ability states he may attack any adjacent region. That means he can move into any neighbouring region, forwards, side to side, or even backwards, if there is an enemy in that region he intends to engage. The only thing to note there is that in most cases, even characters who are allowed to move sideways are unable to do so in the harsh terrain of the Misty Mountains, as indicated by the solid black lines dividing those regions. Additionally, some spaces on the board have rules regarding movement exclusively for the Fellowship player, to represent the Fellowship's attempts to travel undetected. Firstly, Fellowship characters can choose to use the River Anduin to travel from Mirkwood to Fangorn, or from Fangorn to Rohan. And a Fellowship character in Eregion can use the Tunnels of Moria to travel directly to Fangorn. This can help them sneak past dangers on the mountains, but there is a serious risk. Should any Fellowship character set foot in the mines, and Sauron can reveal the Balrog is in Caradhras, that member of the Fellowship is instantly destroyed. Bad news indeed if you are trying to sneak Frodo through. Should a character move into a region containing an enemy, this is considered an attack and a battle occurs. If multiple enemies are present, the attacker can choose to attack a revealed character or to randomly select one unrevealed character. Both characters are then revealed. To begin, the Fellowship player resolves their character's special ability if it's relevant. This will sometimes prematurely end the combat. For example, Frodo's special ability says that if he is defending, he can retreat sideways at this point, evading the conflict. Just don't always rely on that to work. If there is no valid region for Frodo to retreat to, either because there is no space, or because there are enemies in those regions, he's stuck. And if he gets attacked by wargs, which negate the Fellowship character's ability, well, it may be a short game for the Fellowship. If the fight does continue, the Sauron player then resolves their character's ability if possible. Next, each player secretly selects a card from their combat deck, and they reveal their selection simultaneously. Special cards are always resolved before strength cards, and if both players played a special card, Sauron's is resolved first. Finally, if the combat still hasn't been resolved, players determine their total strength, which is the strength value printed on their character plus the value of any strength card played. Highest score wins. The loser is eliminated, and in a draw, both players are eliminated. The combat cards are then discarded and cannot be used again until the decks run out. After the combat, if there are still enemies in the region, another battle begins, and this continues until the region only contains characters from one side or mutual destruction has left the region empty. Any surviving characters are concealed, introducing a memory element to proceedings. Play will continue in this manner until one side has completed their objective and won the game. The Fellowship will win if Frodo enters Mordor, there are no Sauron characters left in play, or the Sauron player is unable to make a valid move. Sauron will win if the Ringbearer is defeated, if they can get 3 characters into the Shire, if there are no Fellowship characters left in play, or the Fellowship player is unable to make a valid move. And it's just great. It sounds a bit convoluted when you're explaining it, but in play it's so smooth and simple to understand. Move and then resolve a combat if applicable. That's it. It's one of those games where the real genius of the system only emerges as you play. The Fellowship player wants to press forward with Frodo, but Frodo doesn't want to attack enemies as he's very weak. Instead, he needs to wait for enemies to engage him. Then he can retreat sideways. And of course, in most situations, enemies will not be able to follow him, as usually only movement forward is allowed. In this manner, Frodo can jink his way across the board, needling at Sauron's powerful defensive line until an opening appears. But at the same time, Sauron is steamrolling forwards with incredibly strong units like the Cave Troll, Shelob, who can also scurry back to defend Mordor, and the Witch King. The Fellowship isn't the best in a straight up fight, but they need to prevent those units breaking through to the Shire and securing a military victory. It's incredibly tense, asymmetric strategy at its very best. The true joy comes from all of the special powers, how they interact, and the bluffing element. For example, it makes sense to place the Balrog in Caradhras to prevent Fellowship characters travelling through Moria. But if you place a character there, your opponent is instantly going to think it's the Balrog. So maybe you shouldn't put the Balrog there, as you may end up wasting one of your best fighters. But then maybe your opponent is going to think you would think putting the Balrog there was too obvious, so they are going to assume it's a different character, and therefore maybe you should put the Balrog in Caradhras. It's a really fun experience and one of those games that rewards playing against a regular opponent, as you will gradually learn each other's tricks, counters and counter-counters. Of course, once you think you know it all and you have seen all of the plays, you can start using the variant characters. And this edition also includes a set of special power cards, incredibly powerful one-use abilities that you can incorporate into your games to spice things up. I've never even used these, I've never felt the need, but they're there if I ever do, and that's great. I would also say this is one of Knizia's most thematic games. It really does a fantastic job of capturing the fear the Fellowship feels as they sneak around, and the awe-inspiring strength of Sauron's forces as they roll forwards. Each character has a skill that works so well within the narrative framework. Boromir will instantly kill any foe, but is also removed from play. Merry instantly defeats the Witch King. Legolas can knock the flying Nazgul out of the sky, and when Sam is with Frodo, he will tank attacks and increases his base strength to 5, making him a formidable opponent for any of Sauron's characters. Meanwhile, the Black Rider can cover vast distances to hunt a foe, the Flying Nazgul can strike anywhere on the board, and the Cave Troll is immensely strong, but so dumb the combat card played when he fights is instantly discarded without effect. It's all beautifully and thoughtfully put together, and as a result, The Confrontation easily earns its place in my list of best games of all time. Regarding the forthcoming Gamefound campaign, I have my misgivings. The price seems excessive, the new pieces seem top heavy and prone to falling, and one of the deluxe options has painted playing pieces, which I think poses a risk of making it easy to identify specific characters unless the paint on every single piece is uniformly applied. But unless you hunt for second-hand copies, this is the only show in town for getting hold of this classic game, so I do think it is at least worth taking a look at the campaign if what I have shown you here looks interesting to you. Regardless, thank you so much for watching, and as always, if you like the video, please consider pressing the like button. If you really like the video, please consider subscribing if you don't already do so, and hopefully, I will see you all again very soon. Bye bye everyone, bye bye.